Okay, so I'm going to show you probably in at least two videos. That way you don't get too bored or have to worry about pausing and then fast forwarding to where you left off in case the tab browser closes, etc. And real quick, another disclaimer. This is for, as you can see, the American Literature section, WS3, but the textbook for all courses except the express course will be the same. Yes, will be the same, except for the express courses in the fall and spring, there will be two less chapters. But format, structure, top hat, everything else will be the same. So don't let the WS3 throw you off and the semester date throw you off. So anyway, so once you log in Top Hat, you get set up, you enter your codes, create your account, etc. You will see a screen similar to this. You will probably not be using Top Hat for any other classes, but if you do, they will appear here if they're current courses. So you just want to click on the class link or enter and give it a second and you will see this screen appear. Because we're an online class, Classroom will not be utilized, but you want to click on Assigned. And so we'll do that. And there we go. And I'm just going to close up some of these for now, some of these folders. But this gives you a good idea of what Top Hat looks like. So you'll see folders, and let me close this one up. I did close these up. I apologize. And the arrow indicates there's a drop-down menu. There's obviously content within the folder. Let me close some of these up real quick, because every time I go to this page, it makes you reclose or minimize the contents. But if you look down here at chapter 9, you'll see this isn't a folder. This is just a single page, web page. So you're not missing any content. Same thing with chapter 6, chapter 4, and every other piece of content is within a folder in Top Hat. Don't worry about this unanswered. There aren't any questions to answer in Top Hat. And that's sort of a third point that will apply to everyone, no matter which literature course, which semester you're in, is that you will submit all of your work via Canvas. You will find all of the instructions and the specific assignments here in Top Hat regarding the questions to answer, how to reply, etc. But you will actually submit all of your work via Canvas. This is merely, just like any textbook, merely the content. Just like if you had a physical textbook, you're not going to somehow, upload images to or pages to a physical textbook and then hand an entire textbook with your homework in it. That's Top Hat is just a container for the content, the reading material. That said, these first two folders are significant, are important, and let me show you getting started, obviously, first, and I will probably then stop the video and pick up with literary analysis and the remaining of the content. And do not worry, I'm not going to go through every single folder, every single chapter, because they're all organized the same way, except these first two so-called chapters or pieces of content folders. So using the textbook feature and tools, this is kind of neat because in Top Hat, and that's what this link will take you to, the instructions on how to do so, you can highlight, make notes, leave comments, and regarding this is confusing, this passage could use more elaboration, this would be really cool if there was an image to accompany this point, etc. You can all do that within Top Hat itself. Bookmark pages, favorites, etc. And then you will see that I'm assuming you've already been to Canvas watching this video because you can only access it via Canvas. And you have all obviously read the syllabus. But you will see here that, or here in Canvas, that your your only two really assignments will be either discussion posts and or writing a critical question, which means you don't write the actual question, you answer a question or 2, 3, 4, a series of questions. And here in Top Hat, each discussion and each critical question, or the series, if it's a group of critical questions, relates to a particular literary issue or to they will both be clearly labeled. And so your response, either via the discussion post or via your answer to the critical question or questions, needs to refer back to this literary approach. And this information about literary approaches is in the second folder, Literary Analysis. But I want you to think about, as you go through the chapters and work your way through the content, how you can apply the literary approach to your answer, to your interpretation. For example, let's say the literary approach is feminism or feminist approach. How would you read this text from a female's perspective, a woman's perspective, a female character's perspective? If the approach is psychoanalysis or psychological, if you were a psychiatrist or a psychologist or counselor, how would you approach the interpretation of this character or this character's actions or a specific action? And that's what I want you to keep in mind, is use those approaches. They will really help you in generating ideas for your discussion post, for your discussion replies, and for your critical question answers. You will be graded, and let me see if I can turn on my nifty little highlight tool here if I can figure out how to do it. We'll do this in yellow. I'm sorry, it doesn't do it automatically, or I would have it already defined for you. We'll be, wrong one, but this is okay. I thought this was a highlight tool. We'll be graded on how you make clear that this is a feminist reading or a feminist interpretation of this character or of his or her actions, or psychological or psychoanalytical. Those terms are used interchangeably when referencing literature. And also on how, and the H is cut off there with the red line, how directly you actually answer the questions. Because a lot of students think they're answering the questions or responding to the prompt or to the question in the discussion post, but they're really not. And you will find that there is not one right and one wrong answer in terms of how you interpret this character or his actions. But if you don't actually answer the question from the feminist perspective or from the psychological perspective or the Marxist perspective or the historical perspective, again, all those are outlined right here in the second folder, you will lose points on the assignment grade. Just like if you write a short answer to a test question and you don't actually answer the test question, you would lose points. And so that's that. I don't know why the type caption thing is appearing. I apologize for that. I probably should have deleted that. But anyway, stop and think, and you will see, as I show you in at least the next video, that all of the chapters here in Top Hat have a header. And they're different ones, obviously applying to the different type of content. But I really do want you to stop and think when you see an approach or two, okay, how can I apply that, so to speak, to my post, to my answer or answers? Discussion post requirements. This is just a PDF file. This is actually also available in Top Hat. But just make sure you read this, because the discussion posts are equally significant in terms of point value to your grade as the critical questions are. So make sure you download this. It's a PDF file either here or in Canvas. And then if you need extra help, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. Click here and give me a second, and no, it should pop up. Oh, this might be a file too. I'm sorry. Yes, there's a PDF file as well. This one, obviously, and the one before it. These will give you some ideas of, quote, things, motifs, topics, themes, characteristics to look for in most all of the readings. So, like you'll read the Tell, Tale, Heart by Edgar Allan Poe this semester. Some of Hawthorne's works, who we're not reading it, but he wrote The Scarlet Letter. We'll be reading some of his short stories. And for example, Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, which many of you might already be familiar with, and so forth. So these will give you some ideas, how to frame your answer, what to look for. Stowe and Douglas write about slavery and life as slaves. Stowe's account is fictional, Douglas's is autobiographical. But again, they both write about, for example, and I don't have this under Douglas, but this will be clear once you read both works, about the hypocrisy of Christians or people who claim to be Christian who owned slaves. And that's a common motif. So that would be somewhere to start for you in answering your questions or making your discussion posts. Anyway, back to Top Hat. So that's the first folder. And I am actually going to stop recording now. And you can take a break, whatever you want. And I will pick back up with the second folder and just walk you through the first chapter. Because again, all the other chapters are structured the exact same way. And I appreciate you putting up with me. Thank you.